Lots to talk about today. Lots of big games this weekend. And I'm going to start with Man United. We've got a big one, Staffy. We play Man City. What you saying?
Oh, we're getting straight to it. Okay. I thought we were going to get later to that in the show. Yeah, I mean, it's a big game, but it's not really a big game.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Get it out of the way.
I think your mic is a little bit muffled.
Yeah, Don, your mic ain't coming through right.
Yeah, I don't think you're connected to your mic.
Not plugged in, man. Plug in.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the biggest game of the weekend. It's a big game, but it's not a big game. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember the last time we went into a derby and both of us are shit. You know, obviously over the last few years they've been the better team. And if you go back a little bit more, maybe there was times where we were just closer to each other a little bit. The gap was closer. You know, pretty much every time at least they were going for a league. So we always looked at this game was like, oh, if we beat them, you know, kind of takes away big 3 points from them towards their quest to win a league. But I can't remember ever watching a derby where both of us are bad at the same time. You know, obviously they're still a better team than us. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not gonna say anything crazy, but they are on one win in their last 9 or 10 games. We just played yesterday, and the levels that I've seen yesterday from this team, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. We left with the 3 points, but holy shit, that performance that I saw, you know. So yeah, it's a big game, but it's not really a big occasion. Even Amarim said that in the press. He said it's a derby, but he's not looking at it really as a derby because he's like it's not like we're both competing for the leagues. He's hopefully maybe in the future when we get better and we face them, the game is gonna have a little bit more of a bigger stake to it, you know. But yeah, it's probably a good time for them to face us, and it's a good time for us to face them. You know, it's gonna be very hard to predict. You know, both teams are not performing at their best. As I said, I mentioned their record. I don't know what our record is. Our record is not as bad, but even our wins, they just don't look that good. So we're two teams that should be a lot better, but they're not. You know, so it's a tricky one. You know, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how confident I am going into this game because this team doesn't fill me with any confidence. But when you ask me would historically, when you look at these games in the last 5, 6, 7 years, have I ever went into a Manchester derby not as worried as I am this weekend? Probably yes. Because even though I don't know if we'll win or not, I'm not looking at this team and I'm like, yeah, that's the Man City that beat us 6-3. That's the Man City that beat us 2-0 at home. But it was like it was a training session for them that day. You know, they dropped off. Obviously, we haven't been doing good. So yeah, as I said, big game, but none of these teams are good right now.
I know there's a lot to talk about on United, but I wanted to say on Guardiola, I want to put this out to Lawless and Don. I feel like he's in panic mode, not because he's playing Man United. It's not about us. This man is talking about, we've seen him scratch his face, scratch his balls, do weird stuff on the sideline. He spoke today about how he's not sleeping, that he doesn't eat very much, maybe a bit of soup. His stomach's he's telling us he's got the 2 bob bits. He's got the runs. He's got the shits. He said he can't digest food properly. I mean, it's taken its toll on him. This isn't someone he doesn't come across confident that they're going to turn this around anytime soon. I mean, when you put everything together, but telling the world that basically you've got the shits because you're so panicked and stressed because you can't find a solution. Maybe he's projecting to protect his team. I don't know, but it feels a bit off to me, Don.
100%, man. You know, we spoke about the summer when they let Mahrez go, and you know, obviously a few of those players go. You know, you had who else left that season? Terry, you had Mahrez left. Who else
Julian Alvarez left, didn't he?
Alvarez
left a year later, I think.
He left a year later, but even when they let Mahrez go, we was having conversations. Sterling as well. Obviously, he was on his downward spiral, but
they haven't replaced him at his peak. That's the point.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. So when they were getting rid of these players, we spoke about it at the time. Like Sterling, yes, we know he was on a downward spiral.
Laporte, Gundo.
Yeah, Gundo, Laporte that season. You know, they lost some big players. We spoke about Gundogan, the fact that, you know, he was a player that could just turn up for them when KDB wasn't there. We spoke about Mahrez being able to start for them and still put up numbers for them. You know, now they've replaced them with the likes of Doku, Savio. Obviously, they've gone down the younger route, but these guys aren't putting up numbers. Away from Haaland, you know, you could look at Alvarez. Now they haven't even got Alvarez, bro. You know what I'm saying? So usually Pep normally has a B team that he could go to and do something for him, right? we know Pep rotates his team a lot over the years because he's got quality everywhere, bro. But now you're looking at it, he's looking at the bench and thinking, bro, who can I bring on to change the game for me? You know, he's not trusting the youth team players. Rico Lewis right now is just getting ragdolled all over the place, bro. You know what I mean? Because he hasn't got Rodri next to him. Yeah, Rico Lewis is not a physical type of player where he can just barge everyone off the ball, you know, keep the ball consistently without being taken off of it. He's not that. He needs someone like a Rodri next to him. He needs big brother next to him. And unfortunately for him, he hasn't got that, bro. That's the reality of it right now. You know, Pep just does not have the players to do what he needs to do and execute a perfect game plan. As much as we look at Pep as a genius, he needs players, bro. He needs these players. You know what I mean? So, end of the day, looking at this game, it's a hard one to predict, like what Staffy said. I think I agree with pretty much what everything that Staffy said. But the main thing I'm looking at for me is I still think Man City have more quality than United. And the fact that they're playing at home as well, I think that's a massive factor right now. If it was at Old Trafford, I'll be saying, yo, maybe United could win this game, you know. But the most I think United can get probably is a draw, I would say. But I think City are probably going to beat them marginally. I don't think it's going to be an embarrassment like what you've seen over the years. I don't think it's going to be a scoreline like that. And if it is an embarrassment, Terry and Staffy, bro, we're going to be having some crazy conversations because I don't think United should be getting battered by the City team right now. No one should be getting battered by the City team right now. And I'm annoyed as a Chelsea fan.
When you say there'll be crazy conversations, so first of all, what do you consider being battered scoreline-wise ahead of time? And expand on what these serious conversations will be.
I'll say battered. I'll probably say by at least 3 goals in it. You can't be losing by at least 3 goals against this City team. And I'm talking about just the players, Terry, right? Because the system, for me, I can see what Amram's trying to do. You know, I hear what you guys say about Rashford. For me, Rashford, he should go. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at Amram as well. Who's he going to start in this game? He can't be starting Rashford in that 10. He can't be starting Garnacho in that 10. These sort of players. He needs more quality in this lineup for this game, bro. But yeah, we're going to be having some uncomfortable conversations again if you get battered. Because I don't think you should be getting battered by the City team, bro. I can't lie.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I agree. I'm just trying to understand your version of batter, just so we're on the same page. I agree. What I find interesting about this match, I think it's the team that scores first that wins. And if you look at Spurs have 1 win in 8 games, and that was when they smashed City 4-0. If you look at the performances before and after that game, the City wins almost like an anomaly. If you go back and watch that game again, City had some early chances in that game and they didn't score. When you look at Tottenham and when they concede at the moment, if City had taken those chances, they might have won 3 or 4-0. And it's almost this element of both those teams at the moment that they're so vulnerable that I agree with you. Nobody should be getting beat by them. You might concede in the game, as an example. You did with Spurs yourselves at Chelsea. You conceded, but you should be able to beat them. Obviously, we're not as good as Chelsea, and we're not as good as Arsenal or Liverpool. These teams that have beaten Man City. But I do agree that we shouldn't be going into this game fearing, and we shouldn't be going into this game worried about getting battered 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. That shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't, because
you've actually, what's so funny about this, Terry? You've actually got more of a balance in midfield than them right now. That's the fucked thing, right? You've actually got someone that can play. If for example, if they had Casemiro, we know Casemiro hasn't got the legs right now, but at least Casemiro will be able to break up play for them, right? If they had Ugarte, for example, at least he'll be able to break up play for them.
This is what I would do in the game.
Like that right now.
But what I would do in this game, and I don't know about Staffy, honestly, what I would do is I would start. I would put Ugarte and Casemiro as the 2 holding midfield players, just to make it so difficult for City to create. We're obviously going to have 5 at the back when we're defending because of the wing backs. So you cut out there, you crowd the middle, so it's hard for them to create, and it's difficult for them to have room on the outside. But then we just need to make sure that we have 2 or 3 or 4 players in the counter that got some speed. So Ahmad, obviously, I think Rasmus, after the goals he scored yesterday, as long as we've got 2 or 3 players, you've got a bit of maybe Malacia and Delo in the counter out in the wide positions, put a bit of speed into those counter attacks, and they're going to be susceptible to it, City, because they've been susceptible to counter attacks to every other single team. So that's how we beat them for me. I think we have to pack the midfield. We have to be hard to break down. And if we're hard to break down and we stop them from creating lots of chances, we know they're nervous about anybody that runs at them. Anyone that runs at them, anybody that attacks them, they're vulnerable. Man United genuinely have a chance to win this game. I'm not saying we will. I'm not saying it's easy because Man United are sitting 13th in the league. However, every single team that's played City, I would say in their last 15 games, has had the opportunity in the match to score multiple goals and beat them. So the minimum I expect from Man United, the minimum I expect is for us to make it very, very hard for Man City and to have chances to win the game. We have to, not because City and Pep and it's where they are now in this moment. So yeah, I expect us to go there and give it a real good go. If we walk away, as you say, losing 3-0, 4-0, don't create any chances, there's going to be an inquest. There has to be. I agree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And before Lawless comes in as well, that's what I'm looking at, Terry. Like, if you concede first, are your heads going to drop, or are you going to have the mentality of Amorim, bro? Because Amorim's not a joke, man. Yeah, most of these players are going to be gone in the summer, for me. The attackers even, right? Garnacho and that, Rashford, these men are going to get binned. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at mentality as well for this game. How are Man United going to bounce back? Because for me, like last season when we'd go down, I had no confidence we'd come back. Now Maresca's actually giving me that confidence to know, okay, even if we concede first, we're going to come back. We conceded twice to Tottenham last week, and I was still telling Deji at halftime, we're beating you, bro. You know what I mean? I don't know if United are there yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing I'm looking at. How are you going to bounce back if they score first?
I hear that. No, I do. I think that's a real good challenge. Lawless, how do you see this game going? Obviously, City had another awful, they had a poor weekend drawing with Palace, and then they were comprehensively beaten, really. Although Pep has said that they played really well, most fans at the ground, the players themselves have all said they were awful again. How do you see this one going Sunday?
Yeah, I think it's a fairly unpredictable game because of how sketchy I think both teams' form has been. Like, Man City have been nowhere near to their levels, but they're able to pull out a result and beat, say, Forest 3-0, who are at the moment a much better team than Man United. Man United, it's a weird one. I didn't see who is it? How do you say the name? Victoria
Beckham, bruv.
Yeah, Victoria Prison or whatever. Yeah, like I think from what I could see is that Man United did have a lot of the ball as usual, dominated, but it just, struggled a bit, I think, to put it away and fully put them to the sword. And some of the chances that were missed were egregious. And that's the thing, like, you're going to have to be clinical when you get those chances, especially if you're talking about how the way that you want to play, Terry, of frustrating them, soak up the pressure, hit them on the break. And that is going to be interesting because we did see how Man United set up against Arsenal, and you did go a lot more sort of conservative, pragmatic in that game, and frustrated Arsenal, I think, quite a bit, to the point that they had to use the set pieces. Now, Man City don't have the same set piece threat, so it will be interesting. I know you didn't score in that game. So it'll be interesting to see if you go into that game with the same approach or go toe-to-toe. I feel like this is a game you could go toe-to-toe.
I think it would. Yeah. Listen, I think you make a point there. I don't think that's going to be. I think the plan will be absorb and counter, but you never quite know what City's days. If City keep giving the ball away easily, then we might end up having more of the ball and feel more confident moving forward.